Okay guys, so here we go, starting things off with the Greatsword of Judgment. This is the Pontiff Greatsword that gets infused with dark when you do the stance with it. So we started off by firing off one of the projectiles, the dark projectiles, just so that we can get the buff in. If the projectile hit, great, it's extra damage. But I found that hitting this projectile is a little harder than hitting the one from the Moonlight Greatsword. Nonetheless, the weapon still does a ton of damage. If you watch part 1 of the video, you know it does 534 when enchanted, and I believe 454 when it's not enchanted with the Dark Moon Blade self buff. So good stuff with that match. We switch it up here to another match again using the Greatsword of Judgment. And right there, the tracking can be a little weird with the projectiles. If the enemy is rolling, it's going to end up shooting it into the ground instead of tracking them. But you'll look, if you use these weapons, you'll learn how to use the projectile more effectively. But as you can see there, it's still great for baiting out rolls. Enemies rolling towards you, you can easily follow up with an R1 and clutch it out with some easy hits. Nonetheless, though, just using the effects for the buff is really good. There you see he ended up parrying, but we still hit him with the projectile and it did a lot of damage, which is nice. Finished him off with a great soul arrow, as we noticed he was being kind of aggressive towards us, so it was easy pickings for that. Next up, we're fighting a Farron Greatsword, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I think that this is probably one of the best PvP weapons in the game. His armor set, I mean, not very good, but I'm guessing he wants to poise through a lot of things. But check that out, we're going to easily punish him with a ton of damage there for trying to spray us with a firehead, I guess. But nonetheless, the Farron Greatsword, it is really good, but I think this guy's using it all wrong. You know, he's just like, why would you use it there when I'm backing up when I was so far away from you? I don't know. So he uses it incorrectly and it's very easy to counter, and we end up getting a flawless on him. But that's not the way you want to use your Farron Greatsword. But the Moonlight Greatsword in action there, just tearing things up. Next up, decided to switch it up to a Greatsword. I think I'm using the refined Astora Greatsword in this one. And the backstab damage surprisingly isn't that great with these weapons, but you know, it still does a lot of damage nonetheless, because we do have it buffed with Crystal Magic Weapon. This is the first, I think, Crystal Magic Weapon buff match that we played, and you can see here, just it's incredible. I mean, we have just enough poise to poise through some basic attacks and just do some massive damage. So next up, we're using the Red Hilted Halberd, again buffed with Crystal Magic Weapon, and we're going up against a guy who actually used Dark Moon Blade. He's not using the Greatsword of Judgment. So we hit him twice with an easy combo, and this is why this weapon is so good. It's going to beat out most other poking weapons. If the enemy is using a spear or a glaive, though, I wouldn't recommend this weapon, but it's a great counter to like S-stocks, just general straight swords that people like to spam R1 with, great swords, and ultra great swords. It's a great counter. So there you can see we pull off a flawless against that guy, very easy. And continuing the trend with this weapon, here we're going up against yet another great sword. I don't remember which great sword this was, but nonetheless, I mean, it doesn't matter. We have a severe advantage over this guy. Oh, this was an ultra great sword. This was the Astora great sword this guy's using. So it was the same sword I was using earlier. And the great swords in this game, I've mentioned before, very, very powerful stuff. But again, the Red Hilted Halberd against pretty much all 3 sword classes in the game is going to easily win you out a lot of matches. And he tried to switch it up to the Goddard Twin Swords to try to get in on me a little bit quicker, but it didn't make a difference. Again, you can, the tracking and the speed of this weapon coming out is so fast. Like as you can see here, again, we're going up against Katana. This guy wants to try to parry us. But again, this weapon is just, it's going to counter the katanas, the straight swords, the great swords, ultra great swords. It's so good for that, and it does a ton of damage. Again, there you can see it. Was that a flawless? I think it was. Absolutely crazy stuff. This weapon is amazing. So switching things up now, I think you've seen enough of the Red Hilted Halberd. We're going to go back to the Moonlight Greatsword. This guy, oh, I think this was the really, yes it is. This is the match where we actually almost lost. This is the Nameless King weapon, and when I make my Faith character, I'm making this weapon because it's probably one of, again, another one of the best weapons in the game for PvP. That stupid attack right there is so annoying. It took off a huge chunk of my health, and yeah, we just I don't know. We just kind of get, I don't know if it was nerves or what, but we just kind of mess up in the beginning. We're already at half health. Chip him out for a quick 100 there with the Soul Great Sword. Soul Great Arrow. But we end up taking still a ton of damage, just making mistakes. Nonetheless, though, we end up countering that thrust attack from him, and we're slowly inching our way back. But it is still a struggle. And just so you guys know, whenever you whenever I'm fighting these matches, these red phantoms, they have full ember health, right? Because you're summoning them from a red sign, and they do have full ember health. So I don't have any kind of advantage being in human form or anything, because every single one of these fights, they have their full health. They have their ember health because you're summoning them from a red sign. So I just wanted to mention that. But here's where we come in clutch. I knew he was trying to get the space to kind of finish me off with that attack. So I waited and I pulled out the Witch Tree Branch, and that's where the speed counts, right? In addition to conditioning your opponent, you can win out those kind of battles, and I clutched out the win there after being down the entire match. Absolutely insane stuff. So again, continuing on with the Moonlight Greatsword, here we're going up against a guy, I guess, who wants to parry, but also is using an S-Stock, and his S-Stock surprisingly does a lot of damage, but we're still able to kind of get through it. I mean, right there, we just made some mistakes trying to rush him down when we should have backed off. And this is why, you know, the 3 attunement slots is just like, like what other things are you going to use other than like a Great Soul Arrow and Crystal Magic Weapon? As you can see there, the Dark Edge wasn't very good. Other spells that I've used, you know, they're not really that effective, so it's kind of pointless. You want things that are good for range, and like I said in the first part of the video, things that are good for conditioning your opponent. And sorry if there's a little bit of lag with that. I don't know what happened with the recording there. But we're still using the Moonlight Greatsword. Like I said in part 1, we're going to be using this weapon a lot because I think it is very good. Trying to use the Dark Edge again, as you can see, not very effective. Don't end up using it for too much more of these PvP fights, I don't think. We end up switching to the Soul Shower variant. Just, I mean, it doesn't even do any damage, but it's just something that scares opponents. I don't know why. And a good thing too with the Moonlight Greatsword, people think that like once, as you can see there, like look at the damage. Once you use those special attacks, they think that you're stuck in the animation for a long time or that you don't have no stamina, but you actually do. And you can see you can easily counter opponents' Rushdown. For some reason that guy wanted to heal, so I was like, okay, I summoned you to my world and you have half your Estus, so you really want to do a healing battle? You know, I'm pretty sure I know when you get summoned as a red phantom, because I've been summoned a few times. I rarely get summoned. That's why I always end up summoning other people, by the way, because when I put my red sign down, I can end up waiting like 5 minutes and not get a summon somehow. Yeah, I mean, when you get summoned, I'm pretty sure you have half your Estus, even though you have your full Ember health. This was the only invasion that I got while using my spellcaster character at level 120. I don't know, this dude just invaded me in the Grand Archives. This is after I kind of went around and used a shortcut to come back down to this place. So I only had like half my Estus ready. And I wasn't healing in the fight until this guy decided to heal, which, I mean, he's an invader, so I can understand that. And he heals like almost 3 times as much, because I heal once or something, or twice. But you can see here, using the Crystal Hail, he rolled into me and I was able to punish him for that. So there he heals, and I'm not going to heal just yet because I know he's an invader, so he doesn't have his full Ember health, so I can you know, kind of respect 1 or 2 heals, or I can say 1 heal. But then he tries to heal again, and I'm just like, okay man, come on. And he's just trying to roll away and heal. And there again is the same kind of tracking. When the enemy rolls away, you don't want to kind of unleash the R2 attack because it's going to end up tracking into the ground and the enemy's already going to be standing up. So use it with some kind of caution. If you see the enemy kind of teeing up like an R2 attack, then you know that's a good place to use the special projectile abilities of the Moonlight Greatsword and the Greatsword of Judgment. As you've seen in the previous PvP fights, that's where it's most effective. So switching things up a bit, we're going to go back to the Greatsword of Judgment here, and this guy is using the Twin Sword combo. Hits me with the R1 beam, didn't do a lot of damage, but that fire swipe did quite a decent amount. But you know, we're easily able to punish him and then finish him off with the projectile. Pretty sure the sword hit him there as well. That's why I did that much damage, because if you, like I said in part 1, if you can end up hitting enemies with the sword and the projectile, it's going to do a ton of damage, like 500 to 700 worth of damage. And right here, me and this guy are just trying to parry. So just because I've been using the unique weapons, I thought I'd show you guys how effective the class can be when you're using like some of the more top tier weapons in the game, like the S-Stock and the Goddard Twin Swords. So when you're using these small weapons, the only downfall of them is, yes, you have to chip away at your opponent. You are faster, you are going to win most engagements one-on-one fighting. So if you do a lot of damage, even with a trade, you're going to end up coming out on top. But these weapons are easy to be parried because you do have to hit people multiple times. So you have to be very cautious of that. And so the good thing too is that you can also try to parry other people with these weapons, and they're going to do a lot of damage when you do end up parrying somebody, which is really nice. So right there, I with this battle here with the guy with the scythe, I ended up letting him buff, and then he just came at me and hit me at the beginning, and I don't know, I was just waiting for him to buff, and I didn't expect him to rush me down right away afterwards, but I guess he did, so it is what it is. And this is an example of how you don't want to condition people. Like, he's just running to the side, so I should have kind of got closer to him and then used some of the spells, because he was just able to dodge the spells at range without coming in close to me. So he knew how to properly dodge the spells. He wasn't kind of trying to rush me down, or if he did it properly. So that was actually a close match, so props to him. He played actually quite well. So going on, I think this is the second last match. This is a tactic that I've seen. I've actually, we played about 45 PvP matches, and I think I lost about 5 or 6. I actually lost to somebody, not this guy, but somebody who was using the same tactic because I didn't know what it was. They actually cast Iron Flesh on themselves, and then they used that that Sacred Hand thing, or whatever it's called, the thing that grabs you and it does a ton of damage. I actually got killed in one hit when the guy grabbed me, just because I was like comboing him, and you know, with Iron Flesh you don't get hit out of your attack, so he's just standing there while I'm comboing him, and he ends up grabbing me. I didn't even notice the attack he was doing, and he killed me. So that's what this guy was trying to do at the beginning of this round, but like I said, I lost to that earlier today, so now I know about it, so we shouldn't be losing to that again, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So yeah, we're not going to get caught by that again. This guy, I don't know, I guess he's a pyromancer, so he doesn't really have a chance against us using an S-stock. So sad. To wrap things up, we end up summoning this dude with a Fume Ultra Greatsword. This is the next build that I want to make, a really high level strength build, or high attribute strength build for the Fume Ultra Greatsword and other heavy strength weapons, making weapons infused with like heavy gems and stuff. And that's a level 120, of course, but this guy is showcasing the way that you do not want to play the Fume Ultra Greatsword. You do not want to just stand there and block all day with it, especially against somebody who's using magic, and then, you know, he commits the sin of healing in a 1v1 duel. So alright man, if you want to heal, I'll heal too, it's all good. And I mean, I don't know what, like when you're summoned as a phantom, just don't heal, man, because like I said, I have twice the amount of Estus you do. I mean, you're not going to win a healing battle. But as you can see, the Goddard Twin Sword is just chasing this guy down, and this is why these swords are so OP. And one of the points I made in the video in part 1, there you see me switch out from the sharp Goddard Twin Swords to the crystal Goddard Twin Swords, because if you do end up fighting a battle like this, like it's a long drawn out battle, and your crystal magic weapon runs out, your sharp Goddard Twin Swords will go from 450 damage down to 310 or something like that. So just switch to your crystal, and you get that extra bit of magic damage back, and you're doing a ton of damage to your opponent. So it's really effective in that regard. Here he decides to heal again for whatever reason, so I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Yeah, we easily would have had this guy beat, but again, the S-Stock and the Goddard Twin Swords, very easy weapons to rush enemies down with. You know, you're gonna win most engagements, like trade-wise, because your weapons are faster. But again, the weakness of these weapons is that they are easily parryable, because you do need a lot of hits in order to get the combos off. So we break his stamina like once or twice in this match, but for some reason I couldn't get the criticals in on him. But it's pretty much coming to a close here. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this setup. And again, check out the other videos in the Soul Level 120 series for more PvP. And stay tuned for more PvP builds incoming. We got a strength character, a faith character, and then we're going to kind of experiment with other kind of unique fun builds and more competitive builds. But thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. Quantum is out.